Welcome to our program, second season on building relationship with our God, and I'm so glad that you've connected today. We're so happy again just to make sure that we can link up and encourage one another. And today, as we continue in our second episode on building our interpersonal relationships with one another and with God at the same time. You know that we can't do anything much about building good relationship and enduring relationship with other people when we're not necessarily connecting with God. So today I still want to make a big emphasis, because our God is a God of relations. I mean, He's a relational God. He's a God who wants to relate with His children. You are His child. So wherever you are, and it's like it doesn't matter whether in which religion you belong to. Religion shouldn't necessarily confuse you at any point. Just know that whether you're just in some kind of religion, the fact remains that you're a child of God, and God wants to relate to you directly. And you need to also learn how to build that connection. But that would help you in relating to others. And I know people have tried to invent relations. In other words, they have tried to define relations or how they should actually relate to other people. No wonder that we've been hurt. And sometimes, like the way we want to define relationship, if we do it in our own way, without necessarily considering the foundation of all these relationships, which is actually God, it doesn't matter where you go. You may be able to choose somebody in your life. You may be, so you might choose a partner. You might choose a friend. But you see, you can choose them, and then you try to define them in your own way, in a way that's like you like them to be. You want them to behave. And you know what? You cannot necessarily do that, because man is a very complex creature. I mean, like a very complex creation. It's like it's too complicated. Even God told people, He told through Jeremiah, He talked through Jeremiah. He said, the heart of man is deceitful above all things, and who can know it except God, who knows how to examine your heart and be able to check out your mind, so that He can even reward you according to your works. Now, what does that mean to us? If you read Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 9, you'll see how God sees the heart of man. So if you're trying to behave, or you're trying to find how man is and how man should behave and how man should treat you, you'll be hurt. I'm telling you, I can promise you, because man or human being or mankind just doesn't know how to relate to another man very well without necessarily being either rooted or with some form of understanding of the principles of God, of what love is and what it means to relate to another person. So in other words, we get the energy, we get the love, we get the ability from God in order to relate to somebody else. Otherwise, if we just go by ourselves, because when somebody gets married, for example, in marriage relationships where people, or maybe people just relate at the company, but where people normally will try, to make people behave in a certain way. Tell them how they should behave. I want you to behave like this. I want you to say this. I want you to, to conduct yourself in such a manner. But you see, we are human beings in a broken nature. It's like we're broken vessels. We are not necessarily where we're supposed to be. In other words, the Bible tells us, even in Romans chapter 3, verse 23, it talks about like we have actually run short of the glory of God. That means we are not necessarily where we're supposed to be. So when you meet another person and you want to relate to them, and this is something that is going to encourage you, for many of you who are trying to build relationships, maybe marriage or for marriage purposes. But you see, you need to understand first that, the foundation of all relations, the foundations of love and all that connection and intimacy is only in God. And if you can only connect with God, it will be a lot easier for you to relate to somebody else. But otherwise, if you go in with your own understanding of what relationships are all about, and maybe you're too smart, you're so wise in your own way in trying to manage that relationship, you're going to find some very interesting challenges, which actually might lead to some disaster, some kind of separation, because then you will not necessarily understand why people behave the way they do. And if like you didn't expect that to happen, well, you should expect it, because they are just a fallen, nature. They are also a fallen nature like you. They are a fallen creation like you. They have run short of the glory of God. So when we go even into relationships, we go in, first of all, we need also we need to allow God to mend our own lives. If you really want to build a good relationship with anybody, mend your life. Work on your life first. And when you work on your life first, meaning need to work out things, your relationship with your God. And to be honest, we're not going to be smarter in any way, like trying to relate with people as if like, and neglecting God, as if like we created relationships. We created marriage. I mean, like, I just wonder why even people just in marriage, if God had the idea of marriage, why would anybody on earth begin to think like they can just do without him? I cannot understand that, because like, you see, it's like, you don't know. I still remember a few years ago in Uganda where we had the government, throwing out the Indians. It's like they throw out the Indians and the companies were taken over by people who had no idea what the vision of the companies were. And it wasn't actually long before all these companies had to collapse. Now that's just a simple example whereby you just own something you have no idea about. You can never do that. You can't own somebody's house. You can't just come into somebody's house and take over and begin to manage it the way you want when you don't know what has been going on. You want to make changes, but you see, if somebody has put up policies and ways of how he can run the home, they cannot come in without necessarily consulting with them, so that I can't come into your house and just manage everything anyhow and be successful. That's not very easy for me to do that if I don't know what you've been actually what you expect and how you want to run it. So God is a God who is relational. He says he talked to Moses in Exodus chapter 3 verse 15. He says, I'm the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Meaning he's a God who is relational. He's a God of the people. He relates with his people. He's our Father. And if he's our Father, he created us for our glory. In our last episode, we talked about God creating you for his glory. We are supposed to worship him. We are supposed to honor him. He is our Father. There is that Father relations that we're supposed to be adopting. And when you adopt that kind of fatherhood, father relationship, father-child relationship, it's going to be a lot easier even as you live through the times, because then you're not going to be looking at how you want to define your life by maybe sometimes looking at other people. You want to look at other people. Some people are now so, they are so distressed, and they feel like life is not good because they don't even have a partner in life. There are people who even say, I don't have even a friend. Nobody loves me. Nobody likes me. Now, that's one of the reasons why you should understand why those statements will come in your life. In our lives, there will be nothing like nobody likes me. Nobody doesn't want me. God created man, and he created man and put in place other people that you see around you. Everybody is very important in your life. Everybody does matter in your life, whether you like it or not. Everybody does matter. But God created us for companionship, for fellowship, and communion. So when you try to define relationship in a different way, it's going to be so hard. If you don't realize that even in marriage, when especially there are some delayed pregnancies, you'll have a problem, because you might think, I automatically should have children. But if you don't have them, like we have seen many families, they may not necessarily have them in time. They may not necessarily have them at the time they want it, at their own appointed time. Now, what do you do with that? And many people, many couples who have been, delayed having children, have had tremendous pressure from other people, from the external force. People will tell them, you should have children. Children are not made by man. God is a giver of life. So you have to accept that. And you don't need to mistreat your wife on the basis she doesn't have children. Now, let me tell you something. You got married for companionship. You got married for fellowship. respect that. That's one of the primary goals, because God said it's not good for man to be alone. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean being alone in the sense of your emotional attachment, because that's why, like, the people who might not get married, if they're not going to get married, what does that mean? Is it a real big problem? I don't think so. It's not a big problem, because there are men who might never get married. There are women who might never get married, and they might make a choice, or for some kind of reasons that are beyond our understanding, they may stay single the rest of their life. You may not like to hear that, but you know what? That's the truth about it. And if you are going to be single the rest of your life, you must also know that if God created people around you for relational purposes, for companionship, not necessarily sexual, not necessarily where you have to get married to anybody, I want to tell you that you can still live a good life when you're single, when you're relating to other people in a healthy way. And I want to encourage you that, so that you know that your primary goal, even for getting married, is for companionship, not for children, not for money. So if you define even your marriage, it's like you want to get somebody because he has money. You want to get somebody because they're beautiful. You want to get somebody because you want children. You want to get somebody because they want to help you, fix your home and fix your cookings and, cooking, your food and all that. That's not the reason, because they may not even know how to cook in some ways, or they may not necessarily do it to your satisfaction. But what is it all about? It's about companionship, and I want to encourage whoever is listening and watching right now. We actually need one another, in the sense that we are human beings. We relate to one another emotionally, spiritually, it's like we are just a family. And that's why it's like, even by the time we get back to heaven, there's no more marriage. There's nothing like husband, wife anymore. There's nothing like children, father. No, we'll have only one father. But you see, the plan of God to multiply people, it was all about, for you to know that it is His plan. And it has happened. It has come to fulfillment. But it may not necessarily be like through everybody that we shall be multiplying. Everybody must get a husband, everybody must get a wife and all that. And then like we mix up the whole thing. Well, if God will allow and open a door for you, which I really pray, especially if you are really seeking to get married, or you're thinking maybe you are so lonely because you don't have anybody in your life. That's not true. I can assure you that. It's not true. You're feeling lonely because you're not working through some of those healthy relationships around you. You think, well, you make your own choice. And you think, she's not important. He's not important. And that's why we have all these words like, I don't need them. That's why there is hatred. But you see, we are fallen nature, and God is actually restoring us. And those words, statements like, I don't need anybody in my life, I can do without you, I have no friends, nobody likes me. All these have just come because like we define relationship in our own different way. But I want to encourage you that you know what? Everybody around you is so important in the sense that you can actually relate them and they can make your life complete. In the sense, not necessarily sexual as I have said, but in a way that your emotional needs and your physical needs, in a ways like, okay, maybe they can provide you with food, they can provide you with money. Create friendship around you. And if anything develops out of that, that's good, especially when you're now thinking in terms of marriage relationship. Let it develop through that friendship, that environment where you are just enjoying the company, the companion, the fellowship, the communion, the companionship that God actually intended for you, because that is going to be forever. But marriage, it won't be forever, I can assure you that. So that's why it's like something that is temporary and to only happen on earth, not anywhere. That's why when you die, you leave your partner. And you don't get married when you die. I think we know that you start a new life. Your body is transformed. And then you begin to live a different life, which will be nothing to do with relations. You don't have those feelings of marriage and all that in your life. So I want to encourage you today that our God is a good God. He has a good plan for you, so you should never be feeling so lonely in life because you do not have a partner, you don't have friends. No, you can make them. Actually, you can make them. Trust people. Learn to trust and learn to relate with God, and God will give you the ability to be able to relate to others. Because it's not a man-made thing, I can assure you. It's not a man-made thing. were made in God. In God. God is God's idea. That's why it's like when we are with God, it's so comfortable to feel and to bless others and to be out there just drawing from Him to be able to give to others. So what we're freely given, we are able to give to others. So be encouraged today so that you can build a healthy relationship. You'll be avoiding all these kind of expectations and demands, because our relationship is not about demand, it's not just about expectations. We give, we're on a giving end. And that's where life is much better, even in marriages and any other relationships in the company. So don't be an island in any way. I want to encourage you, just trust that God has a way to keep you really connected with others so that you can live a good life. And whatever comes out of it, whether it's marriage, whether it's just like normal friendship, you will enjoy the life of what others can actually offer because they're around you. If they're not offering, do that. You offer what they don't give. Give to others what you'd like them to give to you, and you'll see the difference in your life. May the Lord bless you, and I hope to meet you again next time. And I'm just desperate to keep on encouraging you, and I'm encouraging myself as well, just to live a life that is normal, a life that has no expectation and unnatural demands. It's about just the healthy connections between our God and other people. May God bless you. Till then, please do not forget to subscribe on our YouTube, and also follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. And I believe that many of you are being blessed, and I can see thousands of you connecting and following us. May the Lord continually bless you. I love you so much, and may God be with you in all that you do.
Thank you, Jesus. You are our friend. It gives me joy.